Welcome to Heartspeak Podcast, episode 35, Having Sex or Making Love.
I was interested and somewhat concerned when I read recently about a survey that had been done in Britain, and other surveys have been done in other parts of the world, including the US, about the number of rapes or sexual assaults that have taken place within colleges. And this was a study done here in January 2019 for 5,000 students. And it found that over 50% had felt that they had been touched inappropriately or spoken to inappropriately, but only 5% had actually reported this. Some of those inappropriate touchings had been violent. And that only 25% of the people who had been raped had actually reported this. Many believing that they had either caused the rape or didn't even know that rape was about intercourse or abuse that occurred without consent. And so they felt that because they'd had sex with this partner before, and even though they hadn't given consent this one time, it wasn't rape. Or because they were drunk, they felt that they had caused it, and therefore, even though they were capable of giving consent, they didn't give consent, and therefore, again, it wasn't rape. And it just concerned me that here we are at the beginning of the 21st century, the new millennium, coming into the 2020s, and young women and young men don't seem to know what is rape, what is inappropriate, and somehow the idea that sex is just something you do maybe at the end of a day, or even you phone up a friend and you want this, sex seems to have become something that's been taken away from the idea of relationship or, heaven forbid, making love. And this is not me just being prudish or old-fashioned. It makes me sad that sex is not appreciated as something that is sacred, and say something that is about the merging of two beings to bring about some wonderful experience that we call an orgasm. Now, you may say to me, well, I already have orgasms, so therefore I must be making love. No, there are different levels of orgasm. And perhaps I just want to start with that first, to understand that there is sex, there is what we call intercourse, and there is making love. And they're not the same, and they're actually coming from different levels or different chakras. So sex, as we see it, is actually on a sacred level a very important process. Sex on that making love level, where relationships being involved as well, is about the merging of duality into unity. So I could say that you don't necessarily need a partner to have sex, and many of you know that already. So the coming together of our own inner duality to create unity is the act of sexuality. And in that, we feel the rising of our sexual energy through our chakra system, through the base chakra, the sacral chakra, solar plexus, heart, and eventually we feel that release of energy that comes out from the top of our head, from the crown chakra, when in that moment we are connecting to our divine self. That's the true essence of sex. It is that melting, that merging of two forces, at least two forces, in order to create a unification, first with maybe another partner, maybe with ourselves, then with our sacred self, and then with our divine self. Simple as that. And there is only one other process, which is called birth, which is where we take a unified essence, we call it our spiritual self, or the spirit of a baby, and it becomes, it merges into a duality. And that duality is part of what it is to be here on this earth. So we could say when a baby is born, it not only has the duality of masculine and feminine within itself, but it also has the duality of spirit and matter within itself. So birth is to go from unity into duality. Sex is to go from duality into unity. Very simple. Okay, now then let me go back. What is the difference between sex and intercourse and making love? All of them have the potential of an orgasmic release, but that orgasmic release can be superficial and more energetic, maybe even I could say on the etheric level, to going deeper into the emotional level, to going deeper into the heart level, going deeper into the spirit level, depending on what level we are experiencing that orgasm. And maybe I need to just say up front, 1 in 4 women do not have orgasms. And that is not always shown on the TV or in the movies. It is shown that every woman who jumps into bed with someone has an orgasm and it's fantastic. Well, 1 in 4 don't. That's a big figure. If you think of having 4 or 8 friends, 2 of those are not having any orgasm and have never had orgasm. And to me, this is part of the shaming that goes on for women, because we can fake it more than men can. And the figure is something like 67% of women have faked orgasms. So maybe you've done that yourself, because it's quite easy to do that. It's harder for a man to fake an orgasm because basically he needs to have an erection. And if it's not there, it's not there. But men don't always notice that their women haven't had a true orgasm, because so many women are good at faking it. So the studies have shown that a man is totally surprised that a woman might fake it. Many a time you fake it till you make it. However, so I go back to saying it's not always the case that whether you have sex or intercourse or making love, you're going to have an orgasm. Let's just be honest about that. Okay. Sex, in the way that I want to describe it, maybe I could just call it a sexual arousal or sexual, moving towards a lustingness. It is that base chakra energy that is the beginning of sexual arousal. You walk into a room, you might be attracted towards someone, and you can feel movement in your pelvis, around your perineum, your clitoris, your penis of being a man. So something is moving, and that's the early stages of sexual arousal. That may not go any higher. In other words, it may never go deeper any further. It may just be, okay, I'm feeling this, I need to fix this problem, I need to either masturbate or I need to find someone to have sex with to relieve this energy in a very exciting way. But it can in itself be unsatisfactory, because what they found that we have such an increase in sexual pornography because of the internet, that the addiction now that's occurring for sex, which can be with as I say, on the internet or even with individuals, the need, if it is only kept at the base chakra level, isn't enough. So you have an orgasmic release, you have an erection, or you have a clitoral excitation, and you release, and then you need more. It's not enough. And that's because that release is only happening at the base chakra level. And what they found is that when they look at brain waves or brain activity of someone who is sexually addicted, and that's on the increase, the same brain wave activity happens in someone who is addicted to cocaine as when they're addicted to sex. So that type of cocaine need, that need for a fix, can occur in people who want recurrent sex because it's not satisfying them. So that initial release at the base chakra doesn't go anywhere else, can become addictive, and the need for more and more. Now, What am I talking about when I'm saying intercourse? Well, I love that word because it actually means intercourse, to communicate, to become in common union with someone, to communion with them. What does that mean? That means relationship. And this is a sacral chakra, that's just below your belly button. So this activity of intercourse or relational sex is different from just the sex at the base chakra. And that, I think, is where we cause, or a lot of confusion is caused. Because I may say I want to have sex with you, but inwardly, I actually want relationship with you. And you may call me up to come and have sex, and I may think you're calling me up to come and have relationship. And I feel that confusion between sex and relationship is very big, especially amongst young people, where perhaps we're quite keen to be in relationship. And so I think that one of the keys to reducing the amount of rape that's out there is being really clear, communing and communicating with what you really want. What is it you want? I actually want relationship. Now, what does relationship mean compared with sex? Well, the relationship means that instead of being two independent people, you're now willing to stretch your energy towards someone else, and they're stretching it towards you. In some ways, you're giving up some part of your space, but you're actually asking someone to enter your sacred space. And that is much more challenging. And what you may have heard me say before, in the sacral chakra, we're looking for respect. We're looking for trust. Does this person respect me? Now, that isn't always the case. People often don't see that as the first thing for a relationship. And I'm going to say that's really important, more so than, how I'm going to look with this person or what they think about me or whether they love me. I actually don't care if you don't love me. I need you to respect me. And respect means you won't abuse me. You won't misuse me. You will listen to me. So if when you're saying, actually, I need you to hear what I need in a sexual relationship, and if you're not willing to go along with that, you're not respecting me. You're abusing me and using me. So the ability to be clear about what you need is essential when we are looking at relationship, intercourse. And I don't care what age that is, that can happen across the board. Now, for a woman, her sexual energy is stored primarily in her sacral chakra, in her uterus. And I have suggested before that one of the most powerful places for a woman is her sacral chakra. This is her power place, a place of wisdom. And that when a woman is able to empty her bowl around the time of the new moon or around the time of her period and root into the earth, she's able to tap into dragon energy beneath her feet and bring that dragon energy, which is actually sexual energy, and store it in her womb, her uterus. Now, this dragon sexual energy is available to men, but men don't have the same facility for storage with it. They also aren't able to draw it into themselves so easily. So a woman drawing this energy in has almost within her womb a honey pot, a pot of honey. And that honey, I could call it eternal nectar. It's juiciness, it's pure creative energy. And it feels that that's the energy that we know that if you can partake of that energy, you will create eternal life for yourself. In other words, you'll have a sense of oneness. Therefore, a woman, a girl, I would like to make sure you understand that nobody should enter in through your vulva, through your vagina, without respect and honor of you as the high priestess in order to be able to partake of your honey in your sacral chakra. Now you might say, what is she talking about? But this is called vampiring. This is called abuse. And it is the reason why sexual abuse takes place in my mind. If someone can cause you to feel fear, cause you to feel frightened, that you will say, enter into my space and I will let you suck on my honey pot or take some of the honey from my womb, then that is the reason I see that rape has happened, why sexual abuse happens, because there is a mindset that women have their power within their sacral chakra, within their womb. Hope that's making sense. So what's important for women is to recognize that nobody should enter in through their vulva or vagina unless they feel respected and honored as a sacred priestess. And that means that I would love to teach young women this right from the start. It's not about shutting the door. It's saying, I have something wonderful. I am very powerful. I know that this juice that I carry inside me is going to help you to achieve your oneness, but you need to come to me with respect. And that means letting go of control. And I'll come back to that. But in ancient times, there were sacred priestesses. They were called scarlet women because they carried this juice within their womb. It's interesting, we call it the sacral chakra. And a man would call upon the high priestesses or the priestesses. They were often known as the priestesses of Isis, or the women who are trained in the ways of Isis or Hathor or Mary Magdalene. And they were known as the serpentine women. And a man would say, please may I enter into your body, into your womb, into your vagina, so that you will then carry me up along your serpentine ladder, which goes from the root chakra all the way through up to the crown chakra. Will you carry me through you so that I can experience my oneness? And these women were highly trained in doing this. So the sexual practice was one that was so honored, but no man would ever think of entering a woman without permission, because this was this showed his worth, his sense of value. And if she felt that he wasn't ready, she'd say, no, come back another time. But there came a point about 3,500 years ago with the rise of the patriarchy where the men said, why do we need a woman to find oneness, to have a unification with ourselves? And that's where these women who had been called the sacred women, and even the scarlet women, were now seen to be whores, were now seen to be bad women and prostitutes, and they were pushed to the edges of society. And it's so interesting that when you see images, maybe around 2,000, 2,500 years ago, you see a difference between the women who were considered whores, who literally were showing everything, and the mothers who had their collars up to their necks. In other words, there was a big difference between women who were the mothers and women who were the whores. And the fact of the matter is, the word whore actually comes from a German word that means beloved one. So imagine yourself, women, as a beloved one that has this sacred serpentine ladder within you, that has the juiciness in your sacral chakra, in your womb, and that it isn't about stopping your enjoyment of sexuality, but that you value who you are and how you hold that energy. And so for you to have relationship with someone, it's not enough to say, oh, just love me, I love you. It's about, do you honor me? Do you respect me? Do you honor me? Are you worthy of me? And a kind of symbolic way, I would say, is, are you willing to lay down your armor, your weapons? Are you willing to take off your shoes and socks? Are you willing to become naked in front of me so that we can have a true relationship? Or are you wanting to take control of the situation? So in fact, when a man, if it's a relationship between a man and a woman, when a man enters a woman, he should let go of control. And it is the woman who then sets the rhythm for the sexuality, not the man. How would that be? That would be very different, because When a woman learns how to use her vaginal muscles, how to use her perineal muscles to draw a man into her, she sets a very different rhythm than a man who is actually, if I may say, pushing into her. She's pulling him in. And that means he is saying, I surrender to you, great high priestess. What a difference that would be. And I will say, if you want to learn more, please do look at my book, The Healing Power of the Sacred Woman, or the Handbook of Women's Mysteries, where I really go into this in a lot of depth. So let me just take you to one other level then. It's up into the heart now. This is where we make love. What does it mean to fall in love? Well, when you fall in love, there's a kind of union, isn't there? There's a sense of, wow, we speak the same language. We're so like each other. But there's also a surrendering and a trusting that happens, hopefully beyond that sort of honeymoon, oh, we are so alike. It's, do I really trust this person to open my heart to them? Do I feel safe in their presence? And I would say that is about making love. It's about where two beings come together, not because, oh, I love him. It's more like I feel loved in his or her presence. Do you feel nurtured? Do you feel pleasure? Do you feel that you are being fully able to be yourself? And falling in love and making love are really essential for this. And then when you take the energy up to the crown chakra, you're then letting go even of your needs. So we go through the throat chakra, which is all about my will versus your will. Now it's not neither of our wills. It's about thy will. Can I surrender myself and even my pleasure needs to the unification of myself to another level? And that's the healing that comes, the oneness that comes, the bliss that comes from sexuality. I hope you're enjoying this little chat around sexuality and lovemaking. So let me just give you a few other pointers before I finish. I am talking primarily for women at the moment. Why do I think the feminine is magnetic? Why do I think that women have a stronger connecting force, a unifying force? Well, women are much more like the earth, like the moon with its cycles, the earth with her seasons, and there's a roundness to us. We are round, and we're meant to be round. We're not meant to be stick figures. And we live in cycles, so everything inside a woman's energy is cyclical, is round. Mainly because of our estrogen, and progesterone, mainly because of our hormones and because of our shape. So when it comes to, is this person feminine or masculine, there's a lot to do with their hormone levels in terms of, are their hormones cyclical? And B, are they shaped in a curvy way? Because women, there's no doubt that we know that a woman's energy is more magnetic. It pulls in, it connects. That's what women want to do. They want to connect. So that feminine energy, whether it's because of hormones, because of shape, because of even genes, it has this unification. And that's why I say women are always stronger together. Where masculine energy, both within a woman or a man, pushes out, is electrical. It's like lightning. It moves out. So this is the perfect balance. The feminine is magnetic, the masculine is electrical. When we come together, we create unity. Because women have magnetic energy, and as I've said to you, sex is about going from duality to unity, women are built to bring that unification. Women have flowing through them sexual energy. And that sexual energy isn't about, oh, I'm a sexy being. It's, I am a unifying being. I am a connecting being. I will bring you to your wholeness. That's what women do naturally. And again, your feminine do naturally. I can use out different words. I've already said, most importantly, is that a woman needs to respect her body and be respected. So if you're not feeling like sex, don't have sex. Because the most important part of sexuality and the sexual arousal is to light a woman up. In other words, if you want to have sex with a woman, You want to find out where her erogenous zones are. What makes her light up? What is her sexual arousal points? And that's going to be different for every woman. Although I will say the clitoris is a very commonly area of arousal. In fact, it's our strongest level of arousal. And I think that, Jung helped us, but Freud didn't, because Freud said, oh, if you want to have a sexual arousal through the clitoris, you're really very bad, very infantile. But in fact, the clitoris is very important to women. And I would just like to say that it is actually 8 inches long. It goes all the way around the opening of the vagina, the vulva. And therefore, does size matter? Well, it is pretty long. Anyway, find out where your erogenous zones are. And that should be something that every young girl is taught, that it's good to feel, where am I sensitive? Where do I feel sensual? And that should be something that every mother should teach her daughter, that this is good to feel sensual. Let yourself touch yourself. In fact, we know that even babies in the womb touch themselves to get sexually aroused. So knowing where you can be sexually aroused, knowing what will turn you on, whether it is touch or whether it's sound or whether it's music or whether it's chocolates, that lights you up. And when you are lit up as a woman, you then have a strong magnetic field. And the stronger your magnetic field, the stronger your serpentine ladder field, the stronger your pull is. So if you're not lit up, you should not be having sex. That's what I'm coming down to. So that there is no purpose for a level of sexuality or sexual relationship where it is all only for the man. The man's satisfaction, if it is only without the woman being satisfied at all, it literally just stays in the base chakra for him. It is a short-term fix. And what we also know is that prostate problems are much more common in countries where sexuality stays at the base chakra level. It isn't even seen, prostate issues aren't even seen in countries where the whole body is involved in the sexual act in a man. There you go. So just coming back to it is, so lighting up a woman through her erogenous zones, through her love, the more magnetic she is, the more she's going to be able to help her partner come through her beingness in order to experience their wholeness. If you don't feel lit up, don't have sex. If you don't feel that you're even being included in this, don't have sex. So the idea of giving oral sex to somebody and you're not getting anything out of it, stop it. You also are more, it's got to be something you feel good about. So again, there are so many positions you can take as a woman or in a man and woman or woman, but just to make sure that it's something that you feel good about. Please, it's also could be man. Heart to heart is actually what we do as humans. Face to face, intercourse. I don't mind what positions you choose to take, but just remember that it has to feel right for you. It doesn't matter what your partner thinks. It actually only matters. You remember what I'm saying? When two people come together in harmony and respect for each other, then you're going to have a fabulous experience, more so when you come from the heart. But if one partner is not feeling part of this agenda, that's not a relationship, that's not intercourse, that's not making love. So make sure you honor yourself. If you have sex with someone, just know that, as the indigenous people tell us, once you mix fluid with that person, you're going to allow them into your space for the next 3 years. Ooh, 3 years. That might be fine. You might say, I really like this person. I would be very happy for them to walk in and out of my space for 3 years. Maybe somebody else you might not. And they call it mixing fluids. So wherever your fluids are coming from, if you don't want to mix them with someone, don't mix them. So what other points do I want to finish off with? I want to see sex as a sacred event, something that brings so much joy. Unfortunately, sex for many women got caught up with pregnancy, got caught up with menstruation, got caught up with bad, good. And I want to see that sexuality and sacred sex is something that can be enjoyed not just because you want to make babies, but because you actually enjoy being with this person or you enjoy being with yourself. Truly, we have liberated women primarily by producing the pill, giving them the pill, maybe giving them an injection so they don't get pregnant, a patch, whatever. I'm not sure if we've liberated them into a place where they feel good about who they are, their bodies, their sexuality. I feel that sex has become something that you almost have to offer someone else if you're going to be an okay person. And that to me is very sad, especially when I see these figures that I mentioned at the very beginning of so many women feeling that they were inappropriately touched or violently touched or raped, but felt that they were too ashamed to talk about it. There is so much pressure on young women, young men at this time around sexuality, around body image. And I would like to see every woman, every man stepping forward for each other. Women protecting women protecting men, men protecting women, men protecting men. Like, our bodies are sacred and the sexuality is sacred. And I would love that to be brought to the fore. So I think on that point, I'm going to say goodbye to you for now. Listen to your heart, listen to your body. If it doesn't feel right, it probably isn't. Honor yourself. Sacred sex is the most beautiful thing you can have. Making love is the most beautiful thing. It is okay to say no if it doesn't feel in that way. Until next time, many blessings. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the Heart Speak podcast with Dr. Christine Page. Remember to check out other episodes in the podcast archive section on www.christinepage.com. And do share with friends, family, and colleagues. Join us next time for another edition of Heart Speak.